This lecture video is about circles, and there are two forms for the equation of a circle that we're going to look at. The first one is the quantity x minus h squared plus y minus k, the quantity squared, equals r squared. The second one is ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy equals e. So the a, b, c, d, e are all just plain old numbers, and then you have the variables x squared, y squared, x, and y in there as well. And so we're going to look at how to take a circle that's written in the second form and write it up in the first form. So what's nice about this second form is that we can see where the center is just by looking at it. So the center is at the point hk. And so notice this is x minus h, so you have to change the sign of the h that goes in here, and also y minus k. So you also have to change the sign of the y. And we also can see what the radius is. So the radius is equal to the square root of r squared. So you take the square root of whatever number is here, and that will give you your radius of your circle. So our first example here is x squared plus y squared equals 9. So our center, so notice there isn't anything inside a set of parentheses with the x being squared, same with the y's. So our center is at the point 0, 0. And our radius is the square root of 9, or 3. So we have our center at 0, 0, and then from the center you just go up, down, and then right, left, 3 units from your center. And my circles always look more like eggs than circles, so that one kind of looks like an eyeball. But anyways, just do the best you can with drawing those. And then, as always, you should label these points that we plotted on here. Okay, so there's the graph of our first circle. Our next circle, the quantity x minus 2 squared plus y squared equals 16. So our center is at the point, so this is x minus 2, so the x-coordinate is going to be positive 2. And then there's just a plain old y squared. There's no quantity of anything being squared, so the y-coordinate is 0. And then the radius is the square root of 16, and the square root of 16 is 4. So plot the center, 2, 0, and then go up 4, right 4, down 4, and left 4. And then do the best you can to draw a circle. And then don't forget to label these points. Okay. And now this is the last graphing one that we'll do. And so the center here, so we have x plus 3, the quantity squared. So that means that my x-coordinate for my center is going to be at negative 3. Remember, you have to change the sign. And then we have y minus 4, the quantity squared. So again, you change the sign here, so that would be positive 4 for a y-coordinate. And then the radius is the square root of your plain old number on the right-hand side. So that would be the square root of 25, which is 5. So our center is at negative 3, 4. So we want to go up 5. That's going to be 1 unit off of my graph there, but that's okay. And then right 5, and then down 5, and then to the left 5. And again, don't forget to label your points. In these next examples, we're given the center and the radius, and we want to write the equation of the circle. So it's going to be the quantity x minus the x-coordinate. The first center is at 3, 5, so that's going to be x minus 3, the quantity squared, and then plus, and it's always a plus sign in between these two parentheses. Oops, and then y, and our y-coordinate is positive 5, so that's going to be y minus 5. And don't forget to square your quantities, and it's equal to 2 squared. So we have x minus 3, the quantity squared, plus the quantity y minus 5 squared equals 4. Whoops, I wrote my answer down there and not the square. So there we go. The next one here, our center is at negative 2, 4, and it has a radius of 3. So that would be x minus a negative 2, which would be x plus 2, and then squared, and then plus y minus 4, the quantity squared, and it's equal to the square root of 3 squared, which is 3. In the last one here, we have the origin, or 0, 0 is our center. So that's going to give us x squared plus y squared. And it's equal to the radius squared. So we have to square 5 times the square root of 2. So when you take that and multiply it to itself, you would have 5 times 5, or 25, and then the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which is 2, and so that gives you 50. So x squared plus y squared equals 50. Now we're going to write this equation in standard form, which is the one that gives us the center and the radius. And so the first step in doing this is you want to gather up your x terms together. So this example is x squared plus y squared plus 6x minus 4y equals 23. And so we're going to group the x's together. X squared plus 6x plus we're going to have to add on some number here, because what we want to do is we want to write, this is a quadratic expression involving x. We want to write that as something being squared. So we want to factor it as x plus some number, or x minus some number, that quantity squared. So we need to do what was called completing the square, which we've done once before. And the number that we need to add to complete the square is b divided by 2 squared. And remember, b is always the number right in front of your x term. And then we're going to also gather up our y's. So we have y squared minus 4y, plus we also need to write the y's as something being squared, so we need to complete the square here, and it's equal to 23. And then we added 2 boxes onto the left side of our equation, so we need to add the 2 boxes to the right side of our equation as well. And so again, the number that we're going to put in the box to complete our square is b divided by 2, the quantity squared, and b for the x's is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And so 3 squared is the number that we would want to add to complete the square. And I'm going to leave it as something being squared in my box, but when I write it in the box on the right, I'm going to write it as its number, which is 9. b for the y's is negative 4, and negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and then we want to square it. Okay? And so negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, so I'm going to put a positive 4 in the box on the right. So now the reason that I left these as a number squared is because now I know what I need to put in my parentheses. It's an x, and then whatever I squared in the box. So the number that I squared in the first box for the x's was 3. So in my parentheses, I want to write x plus 3, that quantity squared. Always a plus sign in between these two sets of parentheses. In the second set of parentheses, we're going to have y, and then the number that I squared there was negative 2. So we want to write minus 2, and then the quantity squared. And over on the right, we have 23 plus 9 plus 4, so that's 23 plus 13, or 36. So the center of this circle is at the point -3, 2, and its radius is the square root of 36, or 6. In our next example, we have x squared plus y squared minus 12x minus 2y minus 27 equals 0. So I'm going to do some shifting around of some things. So I want the x's together. X squared minus 12x plus, you need that box to complete the square, plus y squared, and then minus 2y, and then plus, we need a box to complete the square again. And then I'm also going to move this 27 over to the right-hand side, which would mean adding 27. And so it's going to be equals 27 and then plus your 2 boxes that you added to complete the square on the left. Okay, so again, remember the number that you need to add to complete the square is b divided by 2 squared. So b for the x's is -12, and -12 divided by 2 is -6, so we're going to put a -6 squared in the box. And -6 squared is 36. For the y's, b is -2. -2 divided by 2 is -1, and so -1 squared is what I'll put in my y box. And -1 squared is +1. So again, the reason that we're leaving these as some number squared in these first boxes on the left-hand side is because it tells us exactly what to put in our parentheses. So for the x's, we're going to put in x, and then what we're squaring is -6, so that's going to be x minus 6 in the parentheses, and then you square it, and then plus the parentheses for the y's, and the number that I had to square for the y's was -1, so it's going to be y minus 1, that quantity squared. And then on the right-hand side here, we have 27 plus 36 plus 1. So that's what, 64. And so our center is at the point 6, 1, and the radius is 8. And in our next example, we have x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 8y equals 16. So we'll do the same thing. X squared plus 4x plus a box to complete the square, plus y squared minus 8y plus a box to complete the square, and it's equal to 16 plus the 2 boxes. Okay, so again, the number that we want to put in our box is b divided by 2 squared. So for the x's, b is 4, and 4 divided by 2 is 2, so we want 2 squared in our box. And over on the right-hand side with a 16, I'm going to put in a 4. For the y's, b is 8, -8, and -8 divided by 2 is -4. So put -4 squared in the first box, and you just put in a 16 in the second box there. So the x's is going to be x, and then the number that I squared to complete the square for the x's was 2. So that would be x plus 2, the quantity squared, plus, for the y's, we have y, and the number that I squared to complete the square for those is a 4. So it would be y minus 4 squared. Well, we squared -4, sorry. And so over on the right-hand side, we have 16 plus 4, which is 20, and then plus 16 is 36. And so our center is at, change the sign of the x's, so that's -2. Change the sign for the y's, so that is +4. And the radius is the square root of 36, which is 6. Okay, and that is all we have on circles, so let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.